Habakkuk, the Godfather of the Reformation. This is our Midweek Refuel video devotion for July 18th, 2024. Here at Redeemer, we are in the middle of a sermon series on the minor prophets of the Old Testament called Majoring in the Minors. And this week's minor prophet is Habakkuk, or Habakkuk, however you want to say it. And he is, in a way, the godfather of the Reformation movement of the 16th century. Let me tell you why. But first, let's turn to Habakkuk chapter 2, verses 2 through 4. Then the Lord replied, "Write down the revelation and make it plain on tablets, so that a herald may run with it. For the revelation awaits an appointed time. It speaks of the end and will not prove false. Though it linger, wait for it. It will certainly come and will not delay. See, the enemy is puffed up. His desires are not upright. But the righteous person will live by his faithfulness." Let me read that last part of Habakkuk 2:4 again. But the righteous person will live by his faithfulness. So the prophet Habakkuk may seem kind of like an unlikely figure to be the godfather of the Reformation movement that was started by Martin Luther in the 16th century. But yet his words in this last part of Habakkuk 2:4 have echoed down through the centuries to the 16th century and even to us. You see, Martin Luther, the 16th century reformer, found these words, "the righteous shall live by faith," or "the righteous shall live by their faithfulness." He found these words the key to the spark of his own personal reformation, and that then set off the spark of the Reformation itself. So this time together explores the impact of the righteous person shall live by his faithfulness, as we hear it in Habakkuk. And it reverberates into the New Testament and then into the heart of Reformation thought. So Habakkuk, he ministered in the southern kingdom, Judah, during the time of great tribulation and turmoil and impending judgment upon God's people. And in the midst of all the questioning of God's judgment, he receives this profound revelation: the righteous person shall live by his faithfulness. So this declaration that we find in Habakkuk, it kind of flies in the face of pride and self-reliance and puts forward a humble dependence upon God and his righteousness, and how we live by faith alone. This pivotal phrase from Habakkuk is quoted 3 times in the New Testament, twice by Paul, and then in the book of Hebrews. In Romans 1:17, we read these words: "For in the gospel the righteousness of God is revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from the first to the last. Just as it is written, the righteous will live by faith." And there Paul, in the very first chapter of Romans, is quoting Habakkuk. Now, what you may not know is that this particular verse from Romans 1:17 profoundly impacted Martin Luther. He once wrote these words: "I began to understand that the righteousness of God is that by which the righteous lives by a gift of God, namely by faith." Here, in these words of Romans 1:7, and we could say of Habakkuk, here I felt that I was altogether born again and had entered paradise itself through open gates. In other words, when Luther was teaching and preaching on these words and he was trying to understand their meaning, he kind of moved from death to life. You see, he had thought that he was needing to be self-reliant on his own good works for God to love him and for him then to enter into the fullness of God's righteousness. But yet here in Luther's writings, we read that when he learned that the righteous shall live by faith, it was as if heaven opened up to him. And then Paul writes in Galatians chapter 3, clearly no one who relies on the law is justified before God, because the righteous will live by faith. So this verse helped Luther to understand that we are not saved by our good works or keeping of the law, but rather we are justified by grace through faith on account of Christ. And that's why Luther so vehemently stood against the idea of works-based righteousness. And then finally, the third time that Habakkuk 2:4 is echoed in the New Testament is in Hebrews 10, verse 38. But my righteous one will live by faith, and I take no pleasure in the one who shrinks back. This passage calls for perseverance in the faith, a theme that echoed in the lives of the early reformers who faced persecution and even trial at self-condemnation. They were named outlaws, especially Luther, simply because of their faith, their religious beliefs, that we aren't saved by our own good works, but by God's grace through a reliance of faith on Him. So Luther's journey to understanding the righteousness of God and its transformative power is found in its root in Habakkuk 2:4. Struggling with his sinfulness and the seemingly insurmountable demands of the law, he found solace and freedom in the realization that righteousness is a gift that is received by faith. Luther once declared, "Faith is a living, daring confidence in God's grace, so sure and certain that a man could stake his life on it 1,000 times." Well, his discovery of the words of Habakkuk and Romans and Galatians and Hebrews, it was that sparked the Reformation in Luther, and then Luther sparked the Reformation throughout Europe, and even those echoes of Romans 1:17 and Habakkuk 2:4, those words echo on till today. And we still need reformation in our life to move beyond thinking that our faith is reliant on us, but rather it's reliant on the righteousness of God freely poured out in Jesus Christ. And living by faith is not a one-time event where we come to believe in God through Jesus Christ, but it's an ongoing reality. We will live by our faith. Charles Spurgeon once said, "To trust God in the light is nothing, but to trust Him in the dark, that is faith." So our faith in Christ can endure through the trials and challenges and uncertainties and troubles of this life. And that was the faith of Habakkuk, of St. Paul, and of Luther, and I pray of us, you and me. The righteous person, says Habakkuk 2:4, the righteous person will live by his faithfulness. So as we reflect on this profound truth, we can see in that minor prophet named Habakkuk, that guy with a strange name, that he is the Godfather of the Reformation. And that's all because God is good.